This reading from Isaiah is well, you could almost say sensational. I started reading it for my research, and the glory of the Lord sort of popped out at me. But then the rest of it, it's such a message of hope. Okay, let's go. Isaiah chapter 60, verses 1 to 6. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. For darkness shall cover the earth, and thick darkness the peoples. But the Lord will arise upon you, and his glory will appear over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Lift up your eyes and look around. They all gather together. They come to you. Your sons shall come from far away, and your daughters shall be carried on their nurses' arms. Then you shall see and be radiant. Your heart shall thrill and rejoice, because the abundance of the sea shall be brought to you. The wealth of the nations shall come to you. A multitude of camels will cover you. The young camels of Midian and Ephah, all those from Sheba shall come. They shall bring gold and frankincense, and shall proclaim the praise of the Lord. And that is what happens in our next reading from Matthew. Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star at its rising and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet," quoting, "And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Ending that quotation. Then Herod secretly called the wise men and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star they had seen at its rising, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left their own country by another road. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
The story today is called More Precious Than Gold. And I don't know if Jonathan wants to come up with someone to help the adults feel more at home with having a story read to them. It's a story about the three wise men in this case. wonderful, more precious than gold. Look, there it is. Caspar pointed to the east, nearer now and brighter. Overhead, the night sky blazed with 1,000,000 stars, but Caspar's star was different. Low in the eastern sky it hung, huge, brilliant, a burning white fire. Still a long way to go, my son. Old Melchior rested his arm on Caspar's shoulders. And so they rode on. Melchior the wise, Balthazar the good, and Caspar the youngest, kind and gentle. Creak, creak, creak went the leather saddles, while the camels' hooves padded through the sand. And in the starlight, 3 crowns glittered, while the silver bells on the harnesses chimed softly. When dawn came, they were safe in the shade of palm trees. Melchior was soon asleep, his old bones aching with weariness, but Caspar sat a little while by the water dreaming of his star. The star they'd followed so long, the most exciting star the world had ever seen, that promised something wonderful, the child born to be King of Kings. He rested his head on a stone. Suddenly something moved. Oh, there's a lizard. A lizard flicked out a long tongue and tried to move away. Bright scales burned gold in the sunlight. Then Caspar saw the deep gash on its leg. "Why, little one, that is a sore cut." Gentle hands reached out and the lizard suffered itself to be touched. "This needs some of your ointment, brother." Caspar carried the wounded lizard to Balthazar. "My ointment? The precious myrrh for a lizard? Come, brother, just a little. You have plenty for the child." Suddenly Balthazar laughed. "Oh, Caspar, what shall we do with you? Myrrh for a lizard?" But he went to his saddlebag and drew out the precious casket, and the strange scent filled the air. Caspar took the tiniest smear on his finger. Gently he stroked it on the lizard's wound. The little creature quivered slightly, but lay still. Then Caspar wrapped it up in leaves and laid it in the cool of his saddlebag. And in the heat of the day they all slept, Melchior the wise, Balthazar the good, Caspar the kind, and the little sand lizard. Then the 3 kings saddled their camels and set out. Low in the eastern sky the star arose closer now. All wrapped in starry silence they rode, and the only sound was the creak of the saddlebags. As the sky turned silver, they saw rough grasses under their feet, and they were finding they were climbing out of the desert into the hills. "I will search for a stream." Caspar leapt lightly over the rocks. "Be sure to save me some dates for my breakfast." Soon he was on top of the hill. Down there in the valley, suddenly there was a little town. White roofs shone in the sunlight. Then he saw her at the foot of an olive tree, a dove who did not fly away. Can you see the little dove down there? A little bit. Caspar bent down and touched the soft white feathers. She was warm. Gently he lifted her and tucked her into his robe. "Have you found water, brother?" Balthazar was anxious. "No, but I've seen a little town not far away, and I found this one too." Caspar held out the dove in his cupped hands. He poured a thin trickle of water into a silver cup and stroked his wet fingers against the bird's neck. "We need every drop of our water, my son," said Melchior gravely. "See, her wing is damaged." Caspar's gentle fingers opened the fan of feathers. "I will make a splint." And he rummaged in his saddlebag. So the dove joined the sand lizard on the soft blanket inside the saddlebags, and they set off towards the little town. Melchior the wise, Balthazar the good, Caspar the kind, the little sand lizard, and the soft white dove. Down in the valley, the town baked in the heat of the day. In the back of a street, a little cat crept into an open door. Can you see the cat? There's the cat. She was tired and hungry, oh so hungry. She hadn't eaten for 2 days and her bones stuck out from a faded silver coat. She leapt onto a table, at last a plate of fresh fish. "Get out, filthy cat!" A stone caught her sharply. She ran, her fur fluffed with terror. She collapsed panting under a rock and licked her back where the warm blood was flowing. Oops, that was that one. For a long time she lay still till the shaking stopped. Then she crawled out in search of water. She was so thirsty. "Why, little one, you are injured," says Caspar. She shrank back, her back arched, ready to spit and claw. "Come on, sweetheart, I won't hurt you." She froze, uncertain. Long ago there'd been a kind voice and warm goat's milk to drink. "Come on, little mother," said Caspar. The soft voice stroked her sore body. A hand touched her oh so gently, and she did not run away. Then a piece of dried fish appeared on the ground. Ravenously she tore at it. "Whatever is it now, my son?" old Melchior sighed. "A cat, father, sore wounded, and I think she carries little ones. I will need some ointment, Balthazar." So the little cat was soothed, her wounds cleansed and dressed with precious ointment. "I will take her with me until she is stronger," said Caspar. "Oh, Caspar, whatever shall we do with you?" sighed Melchior and Balthazar. And so they rested from the heat of the day until their star rose again. Melchior the wise, Balthazar the good, and Caspar the kind, the little sand lizard, the soft white dove, and the silver cat. In one of Caspar's saddlebags, the dove and the lizard slept and grew strong, while in the other the little silver cat lay curled, breathing in the sweet perfume of incense, and 3 kittens were born. One gold as the sand, one black as the midnight sky, and one silver as the star above. Now the star was right overhead. Caspar thought his heart would break for joy. In front of them was a poor stable built into the hillside, and they knew this was the right place. Then the camels sank to their knees, and the 3 kings went towards the doorway. And there they found the child lying in the manger with his mother Mary, while Joseph watched over them. And they knelt before him and gave him gifts: gold from Melchior, fit for a king, myrrh from Balthazar for the healing of sorrows, and frankincense from Caspar, the sweet perfume of kindness. And as Caspar knelt in worship, the dove flew out of the saddlebag and hovered over their heads. Suddenly the stable seemed full of shimmering wings. A gold sand lizard crept gratefully into the warmth and light, and a little silver cat and her 3 kittens blinked in the brightness. "Oh, Caspar," said Balthazar and Melchior, and Caspar hung his head for shame. But the child smiled, and he held out his arms, and the lady said, "We thank you for all your gifts, but even more for these our little brothers and sisters, for they are sweeter than perfume, softer than the most expensive ointment, and the love in your hearts is more precious than gold." I thought that was a beautiful story. Might like to look at pictures still, even if you couldn't hang in there. Lego 1. That's all good. This week we celebrate the new year and the arrival of the Magi to see the infant Jesus. Today I chose the sunflower as a symbol and sign of the new year. Hopefully, I've written down, hopefully we've just been out in the garden to plant a few seedlings. They are the seedlings that emerged after we planted them as prayers a month or so ago in our service. And I told you the story about me taking them home and giving them protection. Weeks ago we planted these seeds and prayers in faith, and today we plant out the seedlings with a view to beauty emerging, like the seedlings. Not all our prayers and dreams for the year will make it to flower. Some will be eaten by birds, Some won't prosper due to lack of water or something else. And we have some say in whether these seedlings outside will survive and prosper. We can water them, protect them, fertilise them, but there is an element that's beyond our ability to control. Like the year is, in a sense, beyond our ability to control. Gardening is always in partnership with the divine, and as we enter into the new year, I think it's good to remember that we can make all the promises and all the vows about what we want to do in the year, but there are the unknowns, and we enter into that sort of open space. But again, I feel like we don't do that alone. We do it in the company of the divine. Our Isaiah reading begins with the command from God. Arise, shine. I don't know what you feel like a lot of mornings, but most mornings when I get up, that's not what I feel like. And sometimes when we enter into a new year, that may be not what we feel like. It's all very great to aspire to that. When Isaiah wrote those words to the Jewish people, the story has it that they were actually returning to Jerusalem from exile, and they'd been in exile for years. In fact, there was a couple of exiles, but one of the times they were returning from exile to Israel and to Jerusalem. And just in case you think that was a dream fulfilled, they were returning to a place that was ravaged by the people that had conquered them. And no doubt, not only was it devastated as a city, but it had been occupied and pillaged by their enemies over many years. And the only reason they were allowed to return was that their enemies felt safe, that they were no longer powerful, they were no longer able to do anything with what they had. And as they're going back into the city, Isaiah says to them that God says to you, arise, shine. What? You've got to be joking, God. And we may well, on hearing those same words, say, well, okay, that's all right for you, God, but I'm not in the mood for shining today. Things are a bit tough for me at the moment. I guess that's where it's important to go on in that reading in Isaiah and read the rest of it. The rest of that chapter and onwards a bit has Isaiah, has God promising through Isaiah that they are not entering this devastation, this new space alone. They're entering in the company of God. And God promises that they will become again a great power, that they will be victorious and all the rest of it. And I guess there's a bit, that can be a bit problematic in itself, because as we read the teachings of Jesus and the life and death of Jesus, it wasn't about that sort of power. But I think the important thing is that they are entering into this hard and unknown space, this new space, challenging space, in the company of the divine, as are we. We, like the Magi, are on a journey towards a new hope, and a sign of that new hope is the Christ child. What I liked about that story, I sort of felt like that was a rewrite. Obviously, this is the more precious than gold story that I just read. I felt like it was a really good opening up of the story into the important gifts that Jesus would have wanted to receive weren't necessarily the gifts for a king as we know them. You know, gold, frankincense and myrrh, symbols of power largely. What I like about that story is it almost reframes the story in the context of Jesus' ministry, where the important things, the important gifts, are gifts of mercy and love and kindness. So, as we enter our new year with many unknowns, unknown places and things that are to happen. I guess I'm encouraging myself to see it a bit like that planted seedling that we planted. I'm planting my hopes for the year in the company of God and in faith that something beautiful will come in this year. And we pray for ourselves and for those we love and for the world that will indeed be the case. I found this Lunic poem which I'm going to rephrase with one word. This year before you now, greet her with love and joy. She is a fine, strong person, this precious living year. She is young and old, she is warm and cold, she is here for you. She will hold you well, make love with her. You'd be a fool to turn away. She is here, she is yours, she is wise, she is hers. She has dawned on you this epic year. Do not underestimate what she can do. Give thanks for her as you make your way. Give thanks for the power and the kindness of this precious living year. Amen.